Hey guys, and welcome to a scrap between two of the old world's oldest and most revered factions. On the left hand side we have Sulphur Crested Cockatoo from DBD. I'm not sure who's playing under that name. I feel like it might be Lenormand, but who knows. Up against Trigger and his Lizardmen forces. I also feel like we've seen Trigger recently on the channel, and both these guys have brought some really cool builds with some very interesting battle tactics. So without further ado, let's hop in here and enjoy the show. So for the forces of the High Elves, we have some cheap and cheerful spearmen guarding the flanks with some more elite Sylvan guards, and white lines making up that front battle line. I like this quite a bit. White lines will certainly pierce the thick hide of those Saurus warriors, and Sylvan guard will help deal with enemy cavalry, which is so often brought in this matchup. In the back, we have a bucket ton of Lothran Sea Guard, 1, 2, 3, 4 units in fact, and Lothran Sea Guard are one of those really useful hybrid missile and spear infantry units where they can do decent damage from range, but likewise, if you try to shut them down with pterodons, feral cold ones and the like, they're better form a little shield wall and porcupine themselves in and poke the enemy to death with their jabby spears. Leading the forces today, we have a Mage of Metal coming in with a humble Plague of Rust, and Alara the Radiant up in the sky, coming in with Tempest, Earthblood, and Star of Avalon. Now, the reason I would argue it's almost pivotal to bring Tempest, if you're going with Alarielle, is to deal with mass Pterodons. Yes, Lothran Sea Guard will do fine up against Pterodons for the most part, but they are very susceptible to those nasty rock drops, so I like that pick quite a bit. Alongside her is the glorious Cockatoo itself, the Arcane Phoenix, and it's a very expensive beast, but certainly brings some mobile terror and some mobile heavy-hitting prowess to the battlefield. We have one Lion Chariot down on the ground, which will help cleave for an infinite amount of skinks, and that's going to be it for the High Elf forces. Now onto the Lizardmen. I must admit I'm slightly more excited for the Lizardmen build, despite that Arcane Phoenix, and that's because this is a bad to the bones, triple horned one build, led by the man, the myth, the dino legend, Krotgar on a horned one as well. Look at that for a shot. He's coming in here with the Hand of the Gods, of course, as well as Sacred Spawning of Hjortl. And the Hand of the Gods is one of those spells, or items I should say, which half the time hits, half the time doesn't. So it's either going to do massive damage and definitely pay for itself twice over, or do absolutely naught there. Horned One's very good in this matchup. They're 100 armor and fast mobility. They should be able to overwhelm the majority of High Elf cavalry and then swarm the back line. For the front line, it's just a load of skinks and Saurus dotted all the way along, mainly Saurus with spears and then little skinks with javelins, but we also have the regiment-renowned Cold of Sotek in the mists, and a couple of chameleon skinks up front. Don't get to see chameleon skinks anywhere near as much as we used to, due to the fact poison's slightly weaker and they become a little bit more expensive, but still a very powerful utility unit. We do have a skink priest of Beast when the skull of a former lover on his head, coming with Flock of Doom as well as a Manticore summon, and that's going to be it. So a real punch your opponent in the face as hard as physically possible, and prey style of approach. I absolutely adore it. Now, the chameleon skinks are actually going to be very good up against Alarielle. She only has 30 armor, and I believe she does come with a base amount of missile resistance, but it's only like, 15%, and she's a rather large target, so they can really whittle her down quite quickly. Arcane Phoenix, only 50 armor as well, so a decent counter to the flyers shall be that skirmish core, but they need to be able to try and hop on top of them without being focused down by the Lothran Sea Guard. A lot of people ask me, how do you deal with chameleon skinks? Do you run them down with cavalry? Do you push them wide with cheap troops? Both those are very good options, but also just shoot them. Yes, they come in with an awesome amount of missile resistance, 40%, but they have 30 armor and a really small HP pool, so you can just blitz them down with a sheer amount of bowfire or gunfire. It works really, really well. You can see the cavalry is going for a big flank overload. All of them are starting to swarm and rally around. Krotgar going for an Alexander the Great style of play there. They're trying to bait out the middle so they can swarm in and overwhelm the bow line. But the bow line's certainly no joke. The anti-large spears could prove a little bit annoying here. Cold of Sotek, a good focus fire down here by the Lothran Sea Guard onto them, as they only have 30 armor, and the Saurus warriors are clattering to the front line. It will take them an absolute age, though, to beat their way through the Sylvan Guard. Sylvan Guard hold for quite some time. We do have a Feral Manticore summon, probably going to be chucking him after the Mage, I'd assume, or into this back line, because there's simply no chance of actually hunting down and catching Alarielle the Radiant. The Cohort of Sotek do pop refuse to die, but they are certainly getting whittled down HP-wise, as the Lion Chariots are going to bound across the battlefield, now doing a lovely rear attack into those Saurus. But here come the Horned Ones getting nice and aggressive now, which is certainly something they need to do. One unit trying to counter the Chariots, but rather wisely, the High Elf player is going to pull back through his own troops. Hand of the Gods goes fry, but unfortunately, very lightly clips Alarielle. Just gives her a bit of a new hairdo there. Nothing too crazy. Lothran Sea Guard do get jumped right now by the Feral Manticore, with some skinks reforming their ranks to throw javelins into the white lines there on the flank. And the Arcane Phoenix does unfortunately miss its beautiful Vortex spell. Horned ones are starting to swarm in on top of the Sea Guard to unleash one last desperate volley of arrows before getting clattered to the ground, jaws snapping at necks. The big fat Plague Rust is going to come down. That's going to be one of the best answers today for the High Elves to deal with these Horned ones. But it's no good having Plague Rust if all your units are being shut down. Horned ones are currently trying to gank up on this one unit of Lothran Sea Guard. They need to spread it wide a little bit and start shutting down multiple of them. Ferromanticore keeping one unit busy here in the back. Chameleon Skinks have been forced wide. They've been a little bit of a pesky pain. Chariots are actually pretty good to go after them due to them having that good old lion pelt on them. Should give them a nice bit of missile resistance. But they're going to continue to charge into the front line and assist the Silveren Guard, who are a little bit beleaguered right now under the sheer press and weight of the Saurus Warriors. Very close game. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Horned ones are a little bit stagnant in the middle. They need to keep moving a little bit more aggressive because they can hop on top of the Arcane Phoenix here and really dish out the pain. Krokgar is trying to get his grubby mitts on top of it, but he does manage to fall back once more. Cold-blooded keeps the Horned ones in action, but they are taking significant damage at the moment. Some of the Saurus Spears have broken through the front line, rending a hole in that battle line and hopping top of the Sea Guard. And now the Horned one's going to come with a lovely rear attack onto these Spearmen on this flank, almost doing the work of what the Chariots were trying to do, but in reverse. And the Lion Chariots are now being forced back, and there's a bucket ton of infantry who has now been freed up due to a lovely hammer and anvil tactic that we've seen all day so far by the Lizardmen player with these Horned ones who are now rotating round to start hunting down those Lion Chariots who are desperately trying to retreat. They could be slowed down by the Chameleon Skinks, so that'd be a lovely play, poisoning them and hunting them down with the Horned ones. And the front line of the High Elf forces has indeed buckled. We have some Cohort of Sotek fighting strong, and strong I mean one model left and he is now dead, but he tried his little hardest and that's all you can ask for, trying to get in there and distract the Lothran Sea Guard, who now get clattered in by the heavy cavalry. Big fat flock of doom goes down on the Spearmen, doing some nice work. Saurus Spears are struggling a little bit though as the Lion Chariots come in yet again for a rear attack. They've been used masterfully today by the High Elf player. Hand of the Gods does go in once again, only just about clipping Alaria the Radiant. Not the best at hunting down flying targets unless they're taken off or landing. That's when it really can perform quite good. Krokgar's doing fine, surrounded by Spearmen, but he is supported by Skink cohorts. There is still a couple of units of Lothran Sea Guard alive, and that's a big worry here for the Lizardmen player, though he still does have a decent amount of ammunition on his Chameleon Skinks, who are raining shot after shot in, and the Horned ones looking not too shabby themselves, spreading out now to bring rain and terror to their opponents. Laura the Radiant doing a really good play here, just hunt down that Skink Priest. I believe he's only used one Manticore summon, so stopping him getting another one up will be pretty huge. Likewise, stopping those Flock of Dooms. He's starting to be broken here, and I don't think there's any of the Horned ones nearby to actually assist and save his life. So it looks like the Skink Priest will be getting dealt with. Likewise, a lovely Plague of Rust goes down on the Horned ones. They are trying to move and dodge the bullets where possible, but the Lothran Sea Guard have formed a lovely killing pit, and the Horned ones are right in the middle of it. Krokgar's trying to disrupt where possible, but he's not able to disrupt an entire unit by himself. And it looks like the Horned ones actually decided to go after the Spearmen. I would definitely would have gone after this unit of Lothran Sea Guard because it's so injured and try to break it. But I also understand, try to get rid of these Spearmen, clatter into them on both sides, and get rid of them. Arcane Phoenix does bring the fiery fury to the battlefield there, and it is now going to be swooping down, trying to finish off this unit of Horned ones. That Plague of Rust has been well placed so far, and it looks like the unit may indeed go down. They're trying their best to shut down the Lothran Sea Guard, likewise is Croc EG. Saurus Spears are beating back Spearmen, though they're about to be surrounded. However, they do have the ever-vigilant support here of double Chameleon Skinks. And down on the ground, that unit of Horned ones is terrified and forced off, leading Krokgar to stand alone. But the king is not alone for long, as there's more Horned ones on the warpath. Looks like they're going to finish off some Sea Guard, and then move over here to help assist. Croc EG with that 120 armor. It's going to be hard for the Lothran Sea Guard, despite their bonus versus large, to actually poke through his 120 armor. Particularly with Sacred Spawning on him, he's really not going to be taking much damage whatsoever. Horned ones once again are on the prowl, perhaps looking to surround the mage, which would be a good target, get rid of that pesky Plague of Rust, but instead they're coming in to try to save Krokgar and hop on top of the Lothran Sea Guard. We've got some Skinks lining up some javelins to try to fish off the Sea Guard on this flank, though rather wisely they are changing to attack formation. Good micromanagement there to disrupt these guys instead, which I think is the play here. With an overarching view of the battlefield, there's pretty much what you see is what you get. Not too much that is running that really realistically has a chance of coming back here. We have the Lion Chariots very healthy, as well as the Arcane Phoenix and Alaria, who's kind of been out of the fight, trying to finish off this Skink Priest, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's just trying to drag her as wide and away from the battlefield as much as possible, and buy time for these Horned ones to really rip up their enemy. Up to 121 kills so far. Really solid work. Now, the White Line's been forced back, as well are the Silveren Guard, and this could be a big mistake. Arcane Phoenix lands right next to the Mage of Metal, and the Horned ones are surrounding the Beastie. Now, if Krokgar can get over here, that Arcane Phoenix is dead. If it gets pinned in, it is certainly going to be going down. Horned ones excel at taking down such beasts. They are ripping it apart. Clever gales, these Velociraptors do jump and slam into the Phoenix, and Krokgar is nearby to support. Poor Major Metal is caught up in the midst of the fight, and it looks like the Arcane Phoenix may well go down, and if the Phoenix goes down, this is really bad news. Alarielle cannot take Krokgar in on a one-on-one. We do have Lothar and Sigurd who are returning, but they are very, very thin in number, and it looks like this may have cost the High Elves the game with the Arcane Phoenix right down in there. The Sacred Spawning does go down, but for some reason, no! This is a huge mistake. The Horned ones fall back. I have zero idea why they're doing this. Why are you falling back, my friends? Why? I guess they think Krokgar can kill the Arcane Phoenix, but Alarielle returns just in time. Earthblood goes down, and the Phoenix lives. That is a disaster for the Lizardmen, as the Mage of Metal will be getting finished off by the Horned ones. It looks like they wanted to kill the Wizard instead, thinking Krokgar had the Arcane Phoenix in the bag. Arcane Phoenix still may die here, as Krokgar unfortunately misses his attack and slams it back in. Can he bring the beast down? Although it looks like now the Star of Avalon does go down. The Horned ones have to do all of that damage once again. That was a massive misplay from the Lizardmen player there, not killing that Phoenix, because now it's going to heal up so much, whereas they could definitely have brought it down before. Lion Chariots will be swarming in, looking to finish off the Skink cohorts with javelins and break them down. They are going to be trying to run for their lives, but I don't think that's going to do them too much good. Chameleon Skinks are running really low on ammunition right now. We still have some javelins, but honestly, that's not much ammo on those guys, despite what that meter tells you. I believe that is just like, yeah, 3 volleys right there. Horned ones are going to countercharge the Lion Chariots. Earthblood, once again, is going to be coming down. Krokgar starting to suffer a little bit. Horned ones are nipping at the heels of Alarielle, trying to tear her down off her pigeon, but the Arcane Phoenix is nearly back up to full health. If we have a little look there at how much it's healed, 1,480 hit points have come back, and that's going to be a big blow. In fact, it's going to push balanced power nearly to an unwinnable state as the Horned ones break. Everything is out of ammunition. It's simply Krokgar versus the world. Now, if this was in lore, Krokgar would have no problem. He would do this in his sleep. Arcane Phoenix, a princess who can do a little bit of magic. Hand of the gods, both those guys going back to Pet Grimlock by breakfast. But unfortunately, I don't know if Krokgar is going to have the might in him to stick this one out, as there's simply too much heavy hit and firepower left on the field in these 2 gigantic flying birdies. Lion Chariots as well still have 2 models, and they can pack quite a big punch, and that is going to be a victory for the forces of the High Elves. An absolutely insanely close game, very back and forth there. Well played to Trigger, well played to Sulfur Crested Cockatoo as well. I swear that's Lenorm, but maybe it's Captellus or someone, and I'm messing this one up. But either way, well played to both these lads. Really fun builds by both players. I absolutely love the Horned ones. They need to get slightly more aggressive, and yeah, definitely finish off that Arcane Phoenix. But despite that, 2.2k damage value and 127 kills, 440 damage and 1.1. A nice performance all round from the Horned ones. And I do think with the Cav Beta, they are a more viable choice. The heavy cavalry is the cavalry, I think, which has most likely been improved the most. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was certainly a bucket ton of fun to cast. I will go through the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units in just a second. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up. Subscribe as well for more Total War Warhammer content into the future. And comment down below what you thought of the battle. What did you enjoy? What would you have done differently? Or just simply yell quack at me. I really do enjoy reading all the comments. They're what inspires me to keep going and making more content for you guys. I am going to be streaming today on Twitch. There's a link down below to my Twitch channel. Likewise, there's a link down there to my Discord where you can submit replays just like the Crested Cockatoo did today. Get involved in tournaments and events. I'm going to be hosting a tournament tomorrow. It's going to be super good fun, and there's a load of links down below to how you can support the channel in a multitude of ways. But anyway, back to the madness. Let's start with Trigger's build, because this was a full Chad Chubb build right now, coming in with Crocky G and the Horned ones. Krokgar, 2,583 damage value. Mwah, beautiful work. Unfortunately, those Hand of the Gods did whiff. Not the best shot at long range, particularly at flying targets. But still, he did a decent job, some nice harass, and nearly managed to ensnare the beast of the Arcane Phoenix. Skink Priest did drop some Flock of Dooms, but mainly was just there for that Manticore summon. He did okay. Manticore basically just messed up Lothar and Sigurd, while the Horned ones slaughtered Elves across the battlefield. For the Sword Spears, 666 damage value there, trying their best to be as satanic as possible. And the other swords didn't do too much, neither did the Cold of Sotek. Good focus fire, to be honest, from the High Elves, bringing these guys down. Despite that, still, 470 damage value. Little Skink Javelins both paid for themselves, 520 and 400 damage value, 830 and 700 750 from the Chameleon Skinks. I think they did a really good job. We've already gone over the Horned ones, but just to go over it one more time. 139 kills, 38 kills, and 127, 1.1k damage value, 440, and 2.2. As for Mr. Sulfur, Alaro the Radiant did manage to get 691 damage value, 9 kills, but was mainly used to chase off that Skink Priest and support and heal up. Arcane Phoenix, 1.3k damage value, nearly died. If it had gone down, I don't think there's any way the Hales won that. Because there still would have been those Horn ones left alive on the battlefield, and they could have chased down most of the infantry. Then it's Alariel versus Krokgar. We all know who wins that scrap. Major Metal was outstanding. Not a huge amount of damage value, but those Plague of Rust really dragged down the Horned ones with the bowfire from the Lothran Sea Guard. Spearman, 530. 360 and 270 damage value on this unit of Sylvan Guard. The other one, 570. Kind of, did okay, but to be honest, the Horned ones rear charging, isolating pockets, and breaking down that front line so the Saurus could swarm into the back kind of rendered them a little bit ineffective here. White Lions, only 260 damage value, but also 850 on the second unit. Lothran Sea Guard did a decent job across the battlefield. 580 damage value, 1,515, 814, and 381. But the Lion Chariots, probably the hidden MVP. Very healthy in the end, still had 2 models left. 106 kills, over 10k damage dealt, and 1.3k damage value. They just kill all the infantry. They do so much work. My favourite heavy chariot in the game, unless we include, of course, the Arca Sotek in that category. Until next time, guys, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.